You've probably seen the painting, right? Da Vinci's famous Last Supper. But behind that incredible image, there's a 2,000-year-old chronological puzzle. So today, we're going to dive in and investigate one of the greatest timeline mysteries in the New Testament.
So here's the core of the problem. You've got two key accounts, the Gospels of Mark and John, and when it comes to the Last Supper and the crucifixion, they just don't seem to line up. So, was that final meal the official Passover Seder, or was it something else entirely? The answer, as you'll see, kind of changes everything.
Okay, let's lay it out. In Mark's telling, the Last Supper is the Passover meal. Simple enough. But in John's version, Jesus is actually on the cross at the exact moment the official Passover lambs are being sacrificed in the temple. So how on earth can both be right? Well, there are two main theories that try to solve this.
All right, let's dive into our first line of inquiry. This theory suggests that one of the writers, John, might have intentionally tweaked the timeline, not to lie, but to make a really profound theological point. From the very beginning of his gospel, John frames Jesus with this powerful identity. And you have to understand, this isn't just some casual nickname, it's the lens through which he wants his readers to see every single thing that happens next. It really sets the stage for the ultimate sacrifice.
And this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. John masterfully weaves these parallels together. I mean, look at this. He lines up the day, the exact hour of death, and even these tiny, specific details to create this undeniable connection. It's almost like he's handing his readers a checklist to follow.
So here's the thing. John embeds these details as clues. The unbroken bones, the hyssop branch. That's not just random trivia. In this view, John isn't really worried about the literal calendar. He's making a much, much bigger point. Jesus is the Passover sacrifice. He doesn't just eat it.
Okay, so that's theory number one. But what if there's another way to look at this? A way that suggests both timelines are factually correct. This second theory argues that different groups in Jerusalem were literally operating on different clocks.
This right here, this is the key. It seems like a small detail, but it could resolve the entire puzzle. For the disciples from Galilee, a day began at sunrise. But for the authorities in Judea, it began at sunset. That 12-hour difference created a window where two different days could legally overlap.
The term for preparation day, paraskeue, adds a whole other layer. See, in Mark, it's used to mean getting ready for the weekly Sabbath. But John is super specific. He says it's preparation for the Passover festival itself. This little linguistic detail is a huge piece of evidence for two separate schedules happening at once.
And this chart just illustrates the result brilliantly. Jesus and his Galilean disciples could slaughter and eat their Passover lamb on Thursday and be totally in line with their sunrise to sunrise calendar. Meanwhile, the Judean temple authorities would wait until Friday, following their sunset to sunset clock. Two groups, same city, same festival, two completely valid schedules. Wild, right?
But okay, this brings up a huge question, doesn't it? If you have two different schedules for the most important festival of the year, why don't we read about any confusion? Why didn't the disciples just say, wait, are we doing this Thursday or Friday?
The answer is actually pretty simple. This wasn't some strange exception for them. It was just their normal. The Galilean calendar was the one they grew up with. Plus, you got to think about the logistics. With hundreds of thousands of pilgrims in the city, the temple had to stagger the lamb sacrifices. There was just no other way. So for the disciples, following Jesus' lead on Thursday was just standard practice.
So, where does our investigation land? Is the answer in John's powerful symbolism, or in the historical reality of these competing calendars? Is one account right and the other wrong? And this is where it gets really satisfying. We don't have to choose. It's not an either-or question. The historical reality of two calendars can coexist perfectly with the theological symbolism that John wants us to see. Both can be true at the exact same time.
Let's just look at how it all comes together. Mark's account records Jesus eating the Passover, which reflects his regional Galilean custom. That's a historically accurate event. Then, on Friday afternoon, he is crucified at the exact moment the official Judean Passover lambs are being slaughtered, fulfilling the powerful theological symbolism that John recorded. It's one event, just viewed through two correct lenses.
Ultimately, this whole timeline puzzle reveals something pretty profound about the gospel writers. They were deeply invested in recording what happened, for sure, but they were even more focused on what it all meant. So that leaves us with a final question to think about. In understanding history, which is more important, the precise sequence of events or the timeless significance behind them?